wormholes, particle physics, extra dimensions. Are the wonders of so-called reality really what they appear to be? Or do we exist in an elaborate hologram? Is our universe the result of random activity or the result of intelligent design? If a creator was involved, can we discover him through our perception of divine order? This is Into the Multiverse with Josh Peck.
Welcome once again to Into the Multiverse. I am your host, Josh Peck, and with me in studio is my lovely, beautiful, gorgeous, amazing wife, CHRISTINA Peck. How are you doing, CHRISTINA?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm really excited about our topic today. We are going to be talking about time travel,
Yes.
the dangers of time travel, all sorts of different types of time travel, different ideas and theories around time travel, what physicists are saying today and what we as Christians should feel about it or might want to feel about it. We don't tell you how you should feel. You can feel however you want. But before we get into that, if this is somebody's first time viewing the program, where can they find us online? How can they subscribe? Everything.
Well, okay, you can find us on youtube.com/into the multiverse. And how you subscribe is you push that little button, that red subscribe button. You push that to subscribe. Or you can find us on skywatchtv.com. If you scroll down, you will find a picture of us, and it says Into the Multiverse. If you click on it, it will bring you right here to our YouTube channel. Or if you have Roku, check us out on Roku under the Skywatch TV channel.
Yes, and make sure you do subscribe. It's important. It's good for you. It's good for us, and we have some absolutely exciting things coming up in the near future. So you'll want to make sure to subscribe for those. But today we're talking about the dangers of time travel, and there's a few different types of time travel that we could get into. I guess probably first off is the difference between traveling to the past and traveling to the future, which you would think is obvious.
Well,
But
yeah.
the difference is one of them's possible and one of them probably isn't, and we'll get into more than that why. But let's first talk about time travel to the future. How is that possible?
Well, you're moving forward in time. Like just now, that's the past, and I'm moving to the future.
Very true. And time is actually a relative to the person who's experiencing it. If I'm driving in a car and you're standing still on the side of the road, I'm actually traveling forward in time a little bit faster than you.
And that's true. And that is something that I've even talked to my family about. My sister, and she's a teacher. She's really good in math. She's a great math teacher. And we talked about things like that too. So if you're moving in a car, it's very, very minimal. But you are actually traveling into the future a little faster than I am.
Yeah.
Also, in the book, if you shoot a rocket, the speed that it's going, you can go a whole 18 seconds into the future.
I don't know if it's that much, but they did. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure, but they did actually do. Or actually, it might be.
I think it was because Michio Kaku wrote a book.
Yeah.
And I remember reading parts of it, and it said if you shoot the rocket.
That was hyperspace, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hyperspace.
It's been a couple years since I've read that, but that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's at maybe 17 point something seconds, but it was closer to 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Into the future.
Yeah, and they have actually done recorded experiments where they have noted this time difference because they put a clock on, I think, like a satellite or something.
No, it was a jet.
It was a jet. That's right.
In the 1970s.
Yeah, and then they had a stationary clock on the Earth.
Yes.
And when the jet flew around for a while and they came back, there was a noticeable difference.
There was a noticeable difference.
Yeah, weird stuff. And I don't remember exactly how much of a difference it was, but actually, Dr. Ronald Mallett. He's an expert on time and black holes, a brilliant physicist. But he actually let me interview him for my book, Quantum Creation.
That's right, yep.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because he let me record it. And I kept that recording, just for myself for years. And just had the interview in the book, transcribed out. But just now, I put that audio interview out there on my YouTube channel. People could check that out, youtube.com/JoshPeckDisclosure. That's where you find the sharpening report and some of the other things that I have. But But I put that interview out as could this be proof of time travel? And he talked a lot about time travel and how things have actually been documented, which is weird to think about. And if people are interested in that book, Quantum Creation, you can get it at the Skywatch store at skywatchtvstore.com. Now let's talk about, so that's time travel into the future. Now, time travel into the extreme future seems like the easiest way to do it is just to go faster and faster and faster. We don't have the technology that we know about yet. Maybe the government does, but we don't. But it seems like that would be the easiest way to do it. But what about time travel into the past?
See, that's where you're going to have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
How can you go back to a place? And also, there's all the talk of, if you go back in time to a period where you exist, you would have already seen yourself, possibly.
Yeah, wouldn't you have that memory?
You already have that memory.
Yeah.
It would already have happened.
Yeah.
So it's impossible, I think. I mean, and again, I mean, that would branch off into another timeline.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the theories about how multiple worlds or multiple universes.
Yeah, the multiple universes.
Yeah, which we talked about in another episode and plenty of other episodes because it comes up. But that actually, there's two main theories on how time travel to the past might operate. This was something that me and Dr. Mallet talked about in that interview. It was pretty cool to talk to a real physicist about this kind of stuff. But one of them says you can go back in time, you can change anything you want, but if you do that, and it's just even a minute change, even just shifting a particle of a photon or something in the wrong direction, any change is going to branch off and create a new universe that now you weren't originally from.
You weren't, yeah.
So there's no way to go back in time and not change something, just you being there is a change.
Exactly.
So that's one theory, which we'll have to get more into. And another one is that you can go back in time and you can't change anything. Whatever has been done has already been done. And actually, this theory was made popular by, hopefully there's no spoilers, but it's years old now, so I'm sure anybody that was going to see it would have already, but the show Lost. They tackled time travel in that show, and they took the version where you go back in time and you just can't change anything because whatever happened
already happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that scenario, in the example that you brought up before, if I were to go back in time, before I go back in time, I should have a memory of meeting myself already.
That's right.
If I go back in time and meet myself, that's what should happen.
Or in general.
Yeah.
If you went back in time, you would already have that memory.
Yeah. I would have the memory of, let's say I go back in time 5 years and I see myself when I was, what would I have been, 27. Well, even though I haven't gone back in time yet, I should still have that memory from when I was 27
That's
meeting
right.
my older self.
Right. Or doing something.
Yeah, I should have that memory because it already happened.
Yeah.
Now, if parallel universes are real, and if that's the interpretation, what that means is you can go back and change stuff, but you can't change your own universe. So you cannot go back and undo tragedies.
Right.
Well, actually, the kind of tragic thing in this whole thing is no matter which one of those would be right, you still can't change anything.
Can't do anything.
So let's say we wanted to prevent 9/11. 9/11 happened. So if we go back in time and prevent 9/11, well, now we're in a universe where 9/11 never happened. We're not in our original universe.
Right. It'd be a separate thing
exactly.
altogether.
And that's if multiple universes exist. If they don't, if what you see is what you get and we're all there is, you go back in time, whatever you do actually already happened and you can't change it because 9/11 still happened.
Yeah.
9/11 was not prevented. So whatever we go back and try to change, we're not actually changing anything. We're actually fulfilling things that already happened.
Yep. No, I understand. I know. It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Remember that show Fringe?
Yes.
They got into some of that too.
They got into that, yeah. And a lot of horrible things happened because they were trying to, or like universes were colliding.
Yeah, and that was in the multiple universe idea.
Universe idea, yeah.
Yep.
And it was, I remember she went into Universe B.
Yep.
And then the longer she was there, the more she'd start to have memories of that universe. And she forgot her original universe, or universe A. So if that were to happen and you were to transfer into another universe, after a while, she was only there like not even a day. She's like, I don't have any memory really of that other universe.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that kind of gets more in the line of just fun storytelling, because in physics, in science, it wouldn't.
Not saying it's scientific fact. I just thought it was interesting.
You wouldn't have that effect. If you went back in time, you wouldn't take on the memories of another version of yourself.
No, you wouldn't.
You would still have your own. But it's interesting that whichever one of those two scenarios it is, and it's got to be one of the two.
Yeah.
Either more universes exist or they don't. You know, you can't have any. There's two options. What other option could you even possibly? But whichever one of those it is, you still can't change.
You can't change anything.
You can't. Which and not to bring up an old thing, but that kind of speaks to this whole Mandela effect thing.
Yes.
Which, of course, we've already dealt with that in 3 episodes, so we don't have to rehash all that.
Open that can of worms again.
But it's just you can't go back in time and change things. Even if time travel is possible into the past, even if it is, and I'm not saying that it is, but even if it is, you still can't change anything.
No.
Again, if you change something, it either you're in a new universe, or if you go back and change something, you're not changing anything at all. You're fulfilling things that had already happened before you left.
No, that's true. I know. So nothing really changes.
And that's how all these paradoxes come up. Well, what about angels? What about demons? What about God? Can spiritual beings time travel? We're going to get into that and answer that question right after this.
Jonathan Cahn, the best-selling author of The Harbinger and Mystery of the Shemitah, brings his brand new book to Skywatch TV. The Book of Mysteries, officially released September 6th. It's a story, a journey, and a daily devotional like no other. And when you order the Book of Mysteries from Skywatch TV, we'll include The Mystery of the Shemitah, 2 Jonathan Cahn DVDs, The 6 Heavenly Entities, and The Cosmic Bride and Bridegroom, 2 free promotional gift books, and a 1-year subscription to the new Skywatch TV magazine. It's a total value of more than $100, yours for just $25. Or you can order a 10-pack, 10 copies of all the books and DVDs, gifts for your friends, total value of more than $1,000, yours for just $199. This offer is only available from Skywatch TV. Order the Jonathan Cahn Book of Mysteries bundle today by calling toll-free 844-750-4985. That's 844-750-4985. Or log on to skywatchtvstore.com.
Welcome back to Into the Multiverse. If you haven't had a chance to do so, subscribe to our channel, and you can also check us out on Roku, and check us out at skywatchtv.com. Lots of great stuff there. I want to jump right back into this. Okay. Christina, can angels and demons time travel?
I say no.
Me too. I do too, but I want to hear your reasons as to why.
Perfect example, Book of Daniel. Mm-hmm. When Daniel was praying, the angel came to him and said, I'm sorry, I was held up by the Prince of Persia.
Right.
So, if angels could time travel, wouldn't he have just time traveled into the future?
Right.
And just bypassed all of that?
Yeah. Or after he got held up, couldn't he just go back into the past and not deal with the Prince of Persia guy?
Not deal with him. So.
Yeah, you would think there's a lot of times in the Bible where time travel would be really convenient if an angel could do it, or a demon or a fallen angel. And so I kind of think no as well. Now there's an idea that maybe time isn't as solid in higher dimensions, and I don't know.
Well, I know. Bringing up seeing into the future of when I said Ezekiel's vision and John measuring the temple, it could be the same.
But of course that's because God allowed it.
That's because God allowed it, right?
Because God is outside of time and space, and He can allow those things. But us doing it on our own, whether through technology or some other means,
I don't think so, because God has a limit on us. He put a limit on us and what we can do. I know there are stories of Egyptians doing tradings with people who claim to be from an island, Atlantis, in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere, and they went back to Egypt because they said, we don't know where it went, so we're just going to stay here now. And so was it that they were getting too technological, and God said, okay, you need to stop now. I'm going to put a kibosh on this right now. Don't play God. So I think that's where we are you
Yeah.
know, with certain things. God's like, I don't believe God is going to allow us to, not that we don't have free will.
Right.
I'm not saying that we don't have free will.
Well,
we can try, but I don't think he's really going to allow us to open up that can of worms right now.
Well, and he does give us free will, but he also gives us boundaries, things we can do and shouldn't do. He has laws, and you know he's got rules. But think about it this way, you know. For example, the whole CERN deal that we've talked about before, that they're trying to open a portal to another dimension.
Right.
Now, that God clearly has a problem with because the whole Tower of Babel incident, you know, when they tried to reach into heaven and petition these fallen angels to be their gods, they wanted to, the book of Jasher actually says that they wanted to set up their own gods, their own idols in place of heaven. They wanted to kill God.
Yeah, because, well, they had the spirit of fear in them because Nimrod was saying, well, God's going to come back and he's going to finish you all off.
Yeah.
So let's kill him before he kills us.
Exactly. So there's clear laws, or however we want to look at it, there's clear laws from God not to do that. You know, you don't go into higher dimensions. You don't go into, you don't try to go into heaven like that.
Right.
But I'm a firm believer that God's not going to command people to not do something unless that thing is possible, you know, like necromancy, talking to the dead. Now, you've known me for years, and there was a long time where I believed that every situation of somebody talking to the dead, it's got to be demons. But the Bible doesn't only say don't talk to demons. It says not to talk to the dead, not to partake in necromancy, which is talking to the dead, like the whole Witch of Endor scenario. And I used to think
familiar spirits.
Yeah, that's what I used to think. I used to think that it wasn't really a person that they were calling up, that it was a familiar spirit or somebody that looked like a person. But that's not really what the text says. So it seems like these things are possible. They're just, God has rules against them. So, as far as I know, unless there's some weird interpretation I'm not familiar with, there's no law against time travel.
Right.
To me, that says it's not possible. You know, there's no law in the Bible against going back in time and changing things around.
Right.
You know, there's no rule set in place for that. And because God never said that it was wrong, if it was even possible and somebody were to do it, how could they be held accountable? How could that be considered sin?
Well, and let's think about it this way. Because the Bible doesn't state that. Bible says that his word is, you know, as it was, it is, and it is forever.
Yeah.
And, you know, a wonderful good friend of ours, James DeWitt, and I had this conversation. And he brought this up. What is a man bound by? His word. So if God has his word, you know, our Bible, that is his word, and that is changed, you know, not to bring up big
Mandela stuff,
but I have to because, because we wouldn't be able to trust his word.
That's right.
The Bible is his word. All 66 books of that Bible is his word. And if one thing has changed, you wouldn't be able to trust God.
Yeah.
And that is what the Bible says. So it is his word. It is forever his word.
That's right. There are people that will bring up like the book of Revelation where it says that if anybody changes the words or whatever, then all these curses are going to fall on them. But that doesn't mean going back in time and changing the words.
The word of God.
That's not at all what it's talking about. It's talking about changing it, you know, like saying that it says something that it doesn't say. Like it's just an obvious deal. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible nowadays. It's impossible to, especially in our fringe community and stuff, it's impossible to talk about time travel and not bring up Mandela stuff.
I know,
luckily, it does kind of seem to be dying down.
Well, it is, and we don't want to bring it back up, but
we don't. But we're just anticipating what the next thing is going to be. And I don't mean to like mock or demean people because there are people that do have legitimate fear about this thing, and I'm hoping that us having conversations like that will ease some of that fear that it's just impossible. And even if it was possible, God's not going to hold us accountable for it because he's not going to hold us accountable for something he never warned us about or never told us was wrong.
I know. And certain verses they'll try to interpret it as so of a warning of changing his word. And I'm sorry, I know I can't buy that.
Even if changes were made, we're not the ones doing it, so we still wouldn't be held accountable for that. But yeah, it's the whole thing to me, I really do believe it's a big deception from the enemy to try to get us against each other for one, but
And to
also
fear.
to fear and to not trust our Bibles. So I think that's wrong, but I think that it also kind of plays into this idea of having a type of special knowledge that other people don't have. And I know most people wouldn't admit to this, and that's fine. But it is appealing, just on a human level, it is appealing to think that we as individuals might know something that somebody else doesn't know.
It's
or
a
we
pride issue.
we believe something that somebody else is too ignorant to believe, and it makes
Right.
us feel special. Well, that mindset, and I know most people who believe that way would never agree that they're reacting in that manner.
Right.
And because I used to be like that years and years ago, and I never would have admitted it.
No.
It takes God to show somebody that. And I thank him that he showed me that, because, years and years ago, that was one of the biggest appeals of New Age theology to me, was I thought that I had special knowledge about this whole other reality that no one else knew about.
That the Bible doesn't even talk about.
Yeah. And it's really,
I'm special.
It's really appealing, and it's a really addictive frame of mind to have. But again, and I don't. People that are actively in that, I don't expect them to admit that or even
Only God
know it.
can take care of it.
Only God can do it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're already special. We don't need
that
Mandela
extra.
effect. We don't need New Age. We don't need all this stuff.
Right.
We're already special because we're children of God. We're sons and daughters of God. We know the creator of the universe. He lives in our spirit. How much more special do we need to be? So I think what it was for me is once I made that first step, of course God made the first step with me on the cross, but once I made, through my own free will, made that first step to draw nigh to God, the scripture tells us if we draw nigh to God, he'll draw nigh to us. So it's up to us to make the first move, but he'll match our efforts, and usually he'll exceed our efforts. Once I made that first step and showed him that, I did want a personal relationship with him, all that fear and all that feeling of superiority because of New Age theology, it started to melt away.
Yeah.
Because I started to realize I don't need that to be special.
Right.
I'm already special. I started to actually realize that I had a personal relationship with Jesus, not just in words, not just as something that we say because we're supposed to say it, but actually really feeling that. And it's impossible to explain. But those who, Christians who have that know what we're talking about. But all that fear started going away. So I really think the root cause of a lot of this fear stuff, like Mandela or 100 other things that's out there,
Yes.
I really think that it's all rooted in the fact that we need to realize that we do have a personal relationship with Jesus. And I am not saying that people who believe in Mandela effect don't have a personal relationship.
No.
I'm not saying
No.
that. And I'm not even saying that they don't realize it. What I'm saying is, if we focus on that aspect of our Christian walk, that will become clear. And all this other stuff that we live in fear over, or even are just worried about, or we want to get online and make a bunch of comments about and tell people how we're right and we know, all that.
We know more than you. You are small-minded and you don't know
ignorant,
anything.
and all that goes away because God does not stand for that attitude.
No, he doesn't.
He really doesn't. So if you at home want a personal relationship with Jesus, first off, if you're not saved, get saved. And basically what that means is just realizing you're not perfect. You fall short. You're a sinner. But that doesn't have to be this dirty word that we have to be afraid of.
Right.
We're all in that same boat, all of us. So it's just realizing that we fall short of the perfection of God. None of us are God. None of us are perfect. So of course we're going to fall short. God understands that, and he's made provisions for that. So it's just realizing that, and then asking God to save your soul, that you want to dedicate your life to Jesus now. You want to accept the gift of him dying on the cross. And if you don't completely understand what that means, read the Gospels and get into some good teaching, because it's important to know that. But start off with the trust and faith that it's true, and just accept it. Say, Jesus, whatever you have for me, I want that. I want that in my life. Challenge God in this sense, that if you're real and if you're out there, I want what you have for me. Can you show me what that's like, please? and ask him. And I have no doubt that he will. He's done it for me. He's done it for countless other people that we've talked to. And then just start living for Christ. You pray, and it's not all about going to church every week or reading your Bible every day or watching Into the Multiverse. It's not about that. It's about cultivating a relationship with Jesus. Imagine when you meet a new friend or when you start dating somebody, or how you cultivate a relationship with another person. You get to know them. You get to know them. You let them know about you. So you start talking to God, start talking to Jesus, get to know him through his word, through the Bible, learn about him, talk to him, tell him about yourself. Of course, he already knows everything about you, but he likes to talk, He likes to have conversation. Any good relationship needs that. So you just have a conversation with them, talk to him, get saved, and focus on him. Now, a lot of the stuff that comes with being a Christian, because sometimes we do talk about dark things. We talk about demons, we talk about end times prophecy. And it's interesting, but that should never be our focus.
No.
All that always needs to point directly back to Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross. Again, I'm not putting all the blame on other Christians for this. It's the world that we live in. It's kind of ingrained in everybody. But we need to get out there, evangelize our friends and family, and introduce them to Jesus if they don't already know him, and make that our focus. And then all these other things, I promise God will tell you what he feels is important for you. He has with me, he has with you. Looking at the Bible, not only through an obvious biblical lens, but through a scientific and quantum physics lens,
Yes.
And talking about science and creation and all that. Well, I did get off on a bit of a rabbit trail there, and we are all out of time.
Whoa, well, shoot. We have to do more of this.
We'll have to do more of this, and I'm sure time travel is going to come up in many episodes in the future.
It has in the past, it will in the future, and
very good.
So nothing new under the sun. Can you go with that?
Exactly. Well, again, for people, if it's their first time, where can they find us online?
Okay, youtube.com/Into the Multiverse. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and push that little subscribe button. And you can also find us at skywatchtv.com. And then you scroll down, there will be a picture of Josh and I, and it says Into the Multiverse. If you click on that, it will bring you right back here to our channel. Also, if you have Roku, go ahead and check us out on the Roku, on Skywatch TV channel. And if you don't have a Roku, get a Roku.
Yeah. Yeah, may as well, because there's a lot of cool stuff on there. All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for joining us into the Multiverse yet again. And as always, take care and God bless.